Hello, my name is Trudy, and I'm one of the creators of Design Packs, a Shopify app that allows you to add sections and templates to your existing Shopify theme. I'm also a developer who runs an agency called Up at 5, and I've started using Design Packs for my own development. I wanted to do this little tutorial to show how easy it is to create custom looks with our packs with just the knowledge of a little CSS. Today, I'm going to just take our normal value icons horizontal and make it a little bit more fancier, just add a little bit of delicacy and flair to it. And so our end product is going to end up looking like this. So with just like a touch of CSS, we're going to be able to go from just your standard one, which looks pretty decent anyway, to something just a little bit more delicate that might fit in with your theme a little bit more than the original one. So what I did for this already is I set up, obviously, the icons and the text, and I set up the configuration to as close as I could get it with just the sidebar. So I set the icon to 70%, which is pretty big, but it's because later it'll look smaller. So I wanted to keep it that big, and then just 3 icons per row, text size. One thing to note, I set the text alignment to left, which is going to come up later. Set just the colors, fonts, mobile size, layout. I set a max width of 1200 pixels, some inner padding, and that's about it. Now we're going to focus on the advanced CSS and mobile CSS. So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to turn each icon section into a grid because we want the icons beside. So what I'm going to do is just copy and paste a little bit of CSS in here. And it was already a grid, so we just had to change the grid template columns to 2:1 ratio, and then remove the grid gap and then remove some padding. But you'll see that the icons are actually on this side and we wanted them on the other side. We want the text to take up the 2 FR. And this is one of the reasons why I love grid, is because you can just simply change the order of the elements in grid with the keyword order. So now we're selecting the image wrapper and we're just setting it to an order of 2, which will just reset the order so that the images will go second. And I mean, grid is just great for this. It just makes life so much easier. And then to get those lines, what we're going to do is we're going to select the text and we're going to set a border left and some padding. And I noted earlier that we justified it left because the selector is actually going to be justified left, and the selector would change if we change that parameter in the settings. So I'm just noting that. You can see now that we have a border left of 1 pixel solid, and that's going to pick up the color of the text, and then a padding left of 30 just to give that little space in here. The one thing to note is that if we look at it this a little bit in full screen, that we have this line at the front too. And I actually just wanted to have lines in the middle of the icons. So for this, what I'm going to do is use a nth type selector and select first of type and then the text. Now, I'm selecting the first of type on the design pack item because that's the top level, and for nth type selectors, it has to be consecutive siblings for it to know which one to get. So we have to go up a level to get the design pack item first of type and then select the text, and then just set a border left to 0, and then we can look again and see that now we only have the lines in between. And that's all we had to do to get that look. Super simple. The one thing we're going to notice, though, is that the mobile doesn't look really that great. So luckily we have the mobile CSS here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to first reset that grid back to just 1 FR so that they're just above and below, and re-put in the grid gap so that there's a little bit of space. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually reorder them back because I think the icon looks a little bit better above than below. And so now I can just, again, take that image wrapper and set order to 0. 0 is actually the first one. If you do it to 1, it actually won't reorder because the text is going to be 0. So we want 0, and then it'll take the original order because both of them are ordered in 0. So then it takes the order of the actual elements. You can see though, we still have these border sides, which don't make any sense anymore on mobile. So I'm going to actually set the borders to bottom. And so for this, I'm again selecting the text justify left. I have to unset the border left, so set it to none, and then set the border bottom I'm setting some padding so that it has some space, some margin so that it has some space on the other side, and a mid width of 200. Although I'm not 100% sure I need this, but I think it will prevent it looking weird on certain mobile sizes. And then again, we have 3 borders, but I think again, I just want them in the middle. So this time I'm going to select the last of type selector for the items. And again, you can see here we're selecting design packs item last of type and then the text. And then I'm setting border bottom to none. So now you can see that the lines just go in between. And there we have it. That was super simple. And so now I'm going to save. And now we can go back to our original example. And this is what it originally looked like. And then when I refresh it, we're going to have this. And it's, the same, but just a little bit more stylish. Might go with your theme a little bit better. But that's the joy of CSS and design packs. And it's just a few lines of code. And this is scoped actually to this section. So if we added another value icons horizontal, it wouldn't take these designs. Now you could just copy and paste the CSS, but each icon set has its own CSS scope to itself. So you don't have to worry about the CSS spilling over into other sections on your theme. There we go.